Hey guys, welcome back to Witch Baby Wednesdays. Today I'm going to be talking about the question that you've all been asking, how to perform a full moon ritual. If you want to see that, keep watching.
One day I'll be a queen with a kingdom all for me, and I'll cherish everything as I drop to my knees, 'cause I know.
Hey guys, Darian here from Darian Empire. Welcome back. If this is your first time here, make sure you subscribe to the channel. And if you haven't already, definitely go and check out my Freedom Friday videos. I have a lot of videos on my channel. I've been doing this for a very long time. I am a spiritual coach. I've been a spiritual coach for about 5 years now. And I do a lot of working with depression, working with obviously personal development, but personal development by using a spiritual path. A lot of brain reentrainment. I teach about living a joyful life and being able to follow your dreams and clear the pathway to them. So I definitely would recommend anybody go on to my channel and go binge watch some of that stuff. I answer tons and tons and tons and tons of questions that you might have. Be sure to stick around till the end because I will be doing a tarot reading at the end. It will have no timestamp or anything like that. So stick around to the end of the video and I will read a card for you. Today, last week, I said in the video that I did last week, what was the video? How to bring magic into the mundane. I said, if you guys want to know how to do like full moon and new moon rituals, then I will teach you. So some of you asked. So here's the video. So this is going to be very vague and basic. If you haven't noticed yet, the sort of approach that I take to these videos is not just showing you necessarily one way of doing things, but my goal is to put the power back in your hands so that you understand the basis of what we're doing here in witchcraft and in life, really, but the basis of what's happening so that you can then create your own ritual, right? So, every full moon ritual is going to be different. There's no black and white, this is the only way to do a full moon ritual or any kind of moon ritual of any kind. There are traditional ways that many civilizations would celebrate the moon and would celebrate the seasons and all the Sabbats, and that's what the purpose of all of the Sabbats are and full moon rituals and all of that stuff. But I'm gonna give you the basis and the basics, and then you can intuit it whatever way you want to do it. So if you were looking for like a specific like full moon ritual for this upcoming full moon, I figured I would start with a full moon because I think it is this week. We have a full moon coming up, so I don't know what the date is. So I decided to do the full moon, but I'm not doing this video based off of just that upcoming June full moon. This is going to be in general, any kind of full moon ritual. Okay, I'm babbling now. So let's get into it. So there's a lot of information out there about the full moons. Now, from what I've noticed, I've been doing full moon rituals for years now. I have a membership called Keys to the Empire that I was running for about a year, and I did full and new moon rituals every, bi-weekly. And I think like in the new age world, because that's kind of like the spiritual world, mystic is where I've come from, there's a belief that every new moon you set new intentions, and every full moon you release what you need to release in order to manifest what it is you're wanting to manifest. But the witches' magic done during certain moon phases is a little bit different. So the dark moon is what witches would consider what most consider the new moon. Witches call that the dark moon because you can't see the moon at all, right? And most witches, or from what I've read in most places, will advise you to be doing banishing spells during the dark moon, but really like clearing away, like as if you're getting ready to start something new. So that's where you're kind of like planning things. getting ready to start something new, but you're not actually taking any action until a couple days after. It's about 2 to 3 days after the dark moon. And then they'll see what's called the witch's new moon. It's just when that crescent starts to peek through. And that's when you want to start taking action towards things and really, setting intentions for new things. The dark moon is more about, imagine you're about to travel, right? And you going on travel is the witch's new moon. Well, a few days before that, you want to get your house clean, you want to do your laundry. You kind of want to do that with your life when it comes to the new moon. When it comes to the full moon, it's a little bit different when you're practicing magic, because the full moon, you can basically do anything in full moon magic. So, the moon is at its peak, it's at its heightened, wherever the full moon is for you, that's when magic is most potent. So really, when you're doing the full moon for witches, for spells and things like that, the full moon is really the best time to do like your serious magic. That's to do like the stuff that you really, really think is important. The stuff that's like, maybe like, I need a real life transformation, or I need real healing in this aspect of my life, or this relationship, or, whatever. I need real help here. If you really want to banish somebody completely out of your life, somebody that's just so toxic, and you feel really unsafe, full moon might be a great time to do that. Even like from the full moon to the new moon, or to the dark moon. If you really want to clear some stuff out, or if you really want to bring things into fruition, the full moon is just, there really is no rules for the full moon. A quick term to remember the moon phases is wax on, wane off. So when you're in the waxing moon, that's when you're coming on to, it's becoming fuller. Waxing is wax on, becoming fuller. Wane off is when it's waning down. So that's like a quick little way to remember what moon phase you're in and what kind of spells you should be doing. And so when you're in the waxing moon, you're building up. That's when you're doing sort of like manifestational kind of work during those phases, generally speaking. And then of course, if we get closer to the full moon, things get heightened, and then we kind of wane down, right? So everything that you want to release in order to have that thing that you wanted, or prepare yourself for the next thing you're asking for, that's when we're doing that sort of work. So we've got a full moon coming, right? And everybody, one thing that a lot of people ask is, when is the appropriate time to do a full moon? So you have about a 72-hour span. I mean, some people are like, I just can't possibly do it during the peak of the full moon. Obviously, doing it at the peak of the full moon, I believe, would probably be best. But it also depends on your personal chart, where the moon is for you. I mean, there's so many different factors for so many of us that it is okay to kind of veer off. If you've ever noticed, like, whatever, if you're watching like astrology videos and the astrologers are like, oh, we got a big thing coming Friday morning, it's gonna be big, and you have a big thing happen like Thursday morning or Wednesday night, you know what I mean? You're like, oh, okay. You kind of notice that like things maybe might hit you earlier or hit you later, and it all depends. It depends on your entire natal chart. So just keep that in mind. And also for women, so a really cool thing about us women is that we tend to either ovulate or bleed with the full moon. I believe I ovulate with the full moon, and I bleed with the new moon, with dark moon. And so around that time, and so it's going to take some time to figure out like when is it best for you to do the full moon, but it might even be cool to figure out, I know that my cycle tends to start a couple days, probably more around the witch's new moon. And so me performing kind of magic on the witch's new moon while my cycle is starting would actually be more magical for me personally to do that. So, if you are a female and if you're still, getting your cycle, cycle, that is something that's really cool that you'll notice. So another thing is like just doing a full moon ritual, just doing something, anything that honors the moon. So we don't always have to, a full moon ritual doesn't necessarily mean I have to have a list of everything that I want, or I have to go ask for something, or I have to do a spell. You don't even have to do a spell or anything during the full moon. You could just gather up all of your crystals, listen to some beautiful music, and sit outside under the full moon and just thank the full moon. And that be it. And just sort of take a bath in the full moon. And it just be a connecting with the moon. You don't actually have to do a full-on ritual. There really are not many rules when it comes to doing a full moon ritual. I think honoring the moon in its phases will help you. When you continue to do it, you will notice, I've definitely noticed, I think women especially, because we're tuned in with the moon, not to make any guys feel like they're not a part of this, or even trans women. I don't want you guys to make you feel like you're not a part of this. But the female body is just attuned to the moon. It's just the way it is. I don't know. It's just how biology is. Our biology at this current state in our civilization, So you will notice that. And you know what? Maybe trans women will feel that. I don't know. We don't know. So if there are any trans witches here that might feel connected to the moon as far as your body is concerned, I would love to know. That's something that I'm just interested in. But it really helps me definitely just feel in tune with the cyclical nature of life. So I think that even if you just want to do a full moon ritual just to honor the moon, that it doesn't always have to be that I'm asking, the moon for something, or I'm asking the universe for something and, drawing on the energy of the moon. It doesn't have to be all of that. Sometimes it's just, traditionally witches would just dance under the moon just to honor the moon, just to give thanks to her, just to give loving gratitude to her. That's what we did to nature. We would dance for nature. We would celebrate and give great gratitude for Earth, for the cycles that continue, for the miracle that is. And so that even in and of itself is really beautiful. And so I really think that for some reason I'm really feeling called to tell you guys, so whomever is watching this that's maybe stuck in this mode of like wanting to keep getting things, not that there's anything wrong with receiving things, but when you're in this energy, I definitely feel like somebody who's watching this is meant for you. I don't know, maybe it's me too. There's this feeling of like, maybe you're stuck in this mentality right now when it comes to your magical practice or your manifestational practices of just always trying to get stuff. And there's something is telling me to tell you right now that it would really benefit you to just sit in a practice of gratitude, not even like a practice, but just doing something ritualistic like this, like not for any reason other than just to say, like just to connect with the moon, or just to say, thank you. I just want to thank you. I just want to thank you. And that's all I want to do. I really feel like that would benefit whomever feels connected to that message. So if I were to do my own full moon ritual, here's what I would do. Okay. If I'm doing it on my own on a personal level, just for me, myself, and I, if I'm leading a full moon ritual, it looks a lot different, just so you know. But if I'm doing one for myself, I'll just kind of give you a general walkthrough of what I would do each and every full moon. First of all, I check the astrology. What astrological zodiac sign is the moon under? I would check, what does that mean? There are lots of amazing astrologers on YouTube, right here on YouTube, that can tell you, what is this particular moon for. Definitely having your own natal chart, and you don't need to know everything about your natal chart, but getting to know, there's plenty of places online that offer free natal charts. Getting to know where your signs are in your chart, and eventually over the years, little by little, you'll start to really learn about your own astrological chart and like, what does it mean for my Saturn to be in my Saturn's in Scorpio, which is like no wonder I go through so much shit. You know what I mean? And it's like, if I didn't know that, it made a lot of sense when I figured out my Saturn was in Scorpio. And, so to know, like, knowing what your moon sign is really important, because your moon sign, like knowing not everybody, but most witches and most people in this kind of magical world, we know at least our sun sign, our moon sign, and our rising sign. Those are kind of like the three big ones. And then there's plenty more where that came from. But understanding that. So usually I would definitely start looking into the astrology. I have an app called Deluxe Moon. It is a paid app. I'm not getting paid to say that, but it is an app that I have, and it tells me so much. So it just has so much astrological information, and it's pretty accurate. And most people, I've had a lot of people say that they like that app. That's for an Android. I have an Android. So that's the first thing I'll do. And then I will start to, so let's say, whatever, let's say I look up the astrology and this is going to be about taking action, whatever, I don't know, like, let's say that's what they say. I'll start to think, okay, where do I want to take action in my life, right? So I'll start to intuitively start to think about, how does that pertain to me and my life? And how can I make the energies that are already in the atmosphere, how can I work with them? So I do want to really point out that when it comes to manifesting, you can go above whatever's happening in the astrology. You are not a victim of the astrology, but, and not even a but, that's it, point blank period. You're not like a victim, a slave of astrology. It benefits when you're in this space of like, I want to do a moon ritual. It will benefit you to get in sync with things. And it's kind of like, it's exactly like, if I happen to have a carpenter with me, why not utilize his abilities? If I have a photographer near me, why would I ask that photographer to build me a house? Do you know what I mean? Like, why not utilize the capabilities and the tools that this person's energy has? It's kind of the same as like the astrology. Why not take advantage of this? That's how I see it, at least. Why not take full advantage of the energies that are here to serve me right now, rather than kind of like trying to, work against things. Now, the way to go above and beyond astrology, like whatever's happening in the stars, all that kind of stuff, is to be in alignment with your own soul. When you're in alignment with your own soul, you don't ever have to worry about what's going on in the astrology. And you probably don't even have to look up what's going on in the astrology if you're doing a full moon ritual, because you'll just know it. Like, your soul will just guide you to it. But this is generally what I do. Then I will do a tarot reading. Of course, I'll always ask, like, what would you have me release? What would you have me focus on? Questions like, are there any sort of changes that I'm unaware of that you would have me make? Now, of course, when I say you, I'm talking to the soul within me. This would be a great opportunity to call in any deities that you might want to call in. Now, I think it's going to depend on what you're wanting to call in as far as what deities to ask. It's also going to depend on kind of like the seasons that we're in. Certain energies are connecting. If you're wanting to bring in love, you might call in Venus, or sometimes, if Venus is in a good position during that full moon. I believe Venus was just in Taurus. It might still be in Taurus, I don't know, but Venus was just in Taurus, and my Venus is in Taurus. So that would have been a perfect opportunity to, if I want to call in a relationship, or even not call in a relationship, but maybe I just want to get clearer about what I want in a relationship. You don't always have to ask for a physical thing. Sometimes you're just like, I want to get clear on this. Could you help me get clear on this? So I would do a tarot reading. That's what I always do. And then I'll do some journaling to kind of just get really, really clear on what I want. I'll even sometimes do like a meditation prior to prior to the meditation, or prior to the ritual. So when I'm doing the actual ritual, I now have my journaling. Now I'm getting clear on like, what do I want to ask for? Sometimes it depends on, like, quite often, I think a lot of people do burn rituals for full moon rituals. And what that looks like essentially is, you know, maybe you write down some things that are blocking you from what you want. Like, I'm afraid, I have stage fright. Like, I'm afraid that, you know, I'll never make it, or whatever, like whatever these doubts and fears are. And then you'll take those and you'll burn them and, you know, let them disintegrate into the ether. And, you know, that is sort of a common, I think, full moon ritual, but that's not something that I would recommend every single full moon. I mean, I think that when you step into, when you divine prior to your full moon ritual, and that can be a part of your ritual. Like, you can sit down and you can cast a circle, right? You can sit down, you can cast a circle, you can light a candle for whatever deity, or even for the god and the goddess, whatever. You could just light a candle, you know, it doesn't have to be for any specific thing. You could just light a candle for the angels. Maybe you want to bring the angels in, whatever, and sit in meditation. And, you know, when you're really, and grounding yourself, and that's part of like casting a circle, is grounding yourself. And that's something that I would do, all of those things. Maybe you put on some nice music. Usually in that meditation, or also in the divining of the tarot, I'm actually guided to what element wants to come through and assist me. So like, I'm a Cancer moon. If the full moon happens to be a Cancer moon, I'll be damned if I'm using fire in my spell, in my ritual. I'm not using fire in my ritual. I'm probably using water, because first of all, the moon is water, the emotions is water, but also my Cancer moon being a water sign, you know, it just wouldn't, you know, and it depends on it just depends on the energy that I'm feeling. So sometimes it's air. Sometimes it's air that feels like a release. Like, I know every spring, when I start doing releasing kind of rituals, I always feel like using air to release. I never feel like I feel like using fire is the worst thing I can do. Especially when I start getting in the Gemini season, I am a Gemini, so I am an air sign. What happens when you blow air, oxygen into a flame? It explodes. So, you know, I think a cool thing you could probably do is ask your tarot cards, what element should I use here? If you want to release something, what element should I use here? If you want to bring something in, what element would you recommend I use? And whatever tarot card you pull, whatever element is on that card is the element you use. Or you just intuitively, you know, figure it out. So that's why I wouldn't sit here and say that there's any particular way to do a ritual. It's really just a manner of doing it around the full moon, within a day before or a day after, is important. Some witches like to do it at night during the witching hour, which is midnight. Taking the opportunity to gather all of your crystals and make that a part of the ritual, and, you know, put your crystals outside, or if you can do that, or on the windowsill if you're an urban witch, and just kind of basking under the full moon. Sometimes you can't see the full moon if it's cloudy. that doesn't really matter. You can do it inside. I've heard people ask me if you can do it inside. My altar I'm facing my altar, and the altar's on the floor, and I have two sort of large windows right here, and the moon is always right out there. So, you know, I don't do things outside. I live in semi-urban kind of a community, so it might be a little weird for me to do something like that outside. And my altar's in here, and I feel safe in here. So I definitely, for women, especially if you're trying to attune your cycle to the moon, sleeping with your windows open, lights out obviously, windows open, and having you just basking in the moon at night is really beautiful way of connecting with the moon. So you can use the energy of the moon. So when you're meditating, when you're doing your actual ritual, essentially you're meditating and you're just asking with all your pure of heart. With a pure heart, you're asking for what you desire with a pure heart. Whether you desire to be free of someone, or something, or you desire to fully bring something into your life and fully manifest it, just ask with a pure heart. That would be my guidance for any ritual and any spell. Ask with a pure heart, with pure intent. This is really what I want for myself. This is really, I really want this out of love for myself or whatever. It doesn't even matter. It just needs to be pure ask. And you can, when you're in that meditation, you can harness the energy of the moon. So the way essentially you would do that is, there's many ways of doing that, but you could just do something as simple as imagining the moon, the energy of the moon kind of beaming down at you. Maybe it's like a white light or a silver light or something like that, beaming down, and you holding it in your hand and then placing it into whatever it is, the spell that you're doing. Maybe you are using a candle, maybe, whatever. Candle's a little different because that is sun energy. I don't know that you would put the moon into the sun, but you could use both of those energies, the moon and the sun energy. But you could put it into your intention. So maybe you wrote something down and you place that energy. Imagine that light going into what you're asking for and that energy kind of helping you. Even just soaking in that energy, whether you sit outside and soak in that energy or you sit inside and you call upon the moon's energy. Maybe you draw it into your left hand, your left palm. That's sort of the receiving palm. Or maybe you draw it into the top of your head. I would say whatever feels best to you. For some reason, what's coming to me is for women, drawing it into their sacral chakra. That sounds really beautiful. There's many ways to do that, and then just kind of filling up your whole body with moonlight energy and soaking in that. The moon is very powerful, so I'm not so sure I would soak in that all the time, and definitely release it, maybe release it back into the earth when you're finished and give thanks. When you release it back into the earth, just set the intention that it be neutralized and sent back where it belongs, and give thanks for it. That's really powerful energy. So I'm not sure I would just go around with that, but definitely, and closing the circle very safely. If you want me to do a video on how to cast and close circles, I can teach you how to do that. But that's like a full ritual. Now, you don't have to do a full ritual like that. You can just do whatever feels best to you. Now, I would always advise, if you're not casting a circle, I would always advise that you set the intention that you are safe and protected, whether you put up a protection barrier or you just say, God, I just set the goddess. I would definitely work with goddess because that's the moon and all that, or whatever, it doesn't matter. You could just call it an omnipresent God, and just say, please keep me safe, bring your safety, fill this room with love and safety as I do this, and just the whole point of it is to feel good. Okay, one thing that's really, really coming to me, and then I'm actually going to pull a tarot card, because what's coming to me is what the witches right now that are connected with me are telling me to tell you right now, is to remember. Maybe it's not even remember, because in this society, you may not have ever been, you may have forgotten the day you were born, but to understand that magic is your innate nature. This is your nature. Don't feel like you have to ask another person. It's fine that you ask because you're here with me, but don't feel like you have to ask someone else, because it is innate for you. It's natural. This is all natural for us to be magical, to be connected with the moon. That's natural. That's the most natural thing possible. So, imagine if you were to just go for a walk in the woods by yourself for miles. There would be fears, but eventually you would start to just go off of some form of an innate, natural instinct. And we do have a natural instinct, every single one of us have a natural instinct. And so just know that, connecting with the earth, connecting with nature, this is your nature. This is your true nature, is to be in this cyclical energy connected with the earth. Like, you are a part of the earth. This is natural. Magic is natural. Miracles are natural. And your ability to know how to do this stuff is natural. So trust yourself. Trust yourself. Trust yourself. Trust yourself. Okay? Okay. All right. I'm going to do a quick little reading from the Star Child Tarot deck. First one that just popped out is the Emperor card. Here you go. The Emperor card. Hi. There she is. The Emperor card. So, let me pull one more. And the Sun card. This is quite interesting that I just pulled these two, because both of these are very masculine energy. Both of these are very masculine energy. So now this doesn't necessarily have to pertain to the full moon that you're about to do, because I'm feeling like this isn't. I'm feeling like, you know, we're in the summer months right now, at least here in this northern hemisphere. We're in the summer months right now. And this, whatever you feel connected, whatever message, when I say these words to you, is that it's time in some aspect of your life to start stepping up, stepping out, to start showing up, showing yourself. It's almost, so what I'm seeing is like, let's say I'm seeing like a king sitting on his throne, and his whole entire town, kingdom, having like a party. And he just decides, like, maybe he's this king that usually is in the shadows, and for the first time in a long time, he just decides to come and sit on the throne and watch his villagers enjoy themselves and have a feast. And, you know, just kind of showing up and just showing up. Expression, like really expressing who you are, showing up, coming out, like coming out. I just feel like some of you might be in the closet in some way. Maybe you're a witch in the closet and it's time to come out, and it's not just about coming out in fear. This is about coming out as the king. This is like, oh, hello. This is like, I've been in the shadows in whatever aspect of your life that this feels, you feel tuned into. But this is like, I've been in the shadows, but not because I'm fearful. I've been in the shadows preparing myself for the crown, kind of a thing, or like polishing myself, getting ready to step out. And this is saying it might be about time to start stepping out. What I'm feeling like is you've been in the shadows, and for the first time, the sun is about to just glisten across your face. And feel that sense of almost like exposure, but not in a bad way. Like exposing the king in you, exposing the king in you. That is what this reading is about. So if that feels connected to you, whatever that says to you right here and now, there's no timestamp on this, whatever that says to you right here and now, that's for you. And maybe you don't know what that is, but let it lead you. But maybe it's making you feel curious. Let it lead you and guide you to what the meaning actually is, right? All right, guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope you got a lot from that. Let me know what you'll be doing this next coming up full moon in June. And I will see you guys on the next Witch Baby Wednesdays. Bye.
Hey guys, thanks for watching this video. If you liked it, be sure to give it a thumbs up. And if you want to connect with me outside of YouTube, head on over to my Instagram to say hello, watch behind the scenes stuff, and check out any special announcements that I might have going on. Now, if you haven't already, head over and watch one of these awesome videos and subscribe to the channel. I'll see you on the next video, guys.
That's where my dreams come in and take me